But I'm going to tell you a little bit what happened. When Colton was 4 years old, almost 4, they took a road trip to Colorado, long distance from Imperial, Nebraska. And they came and he got sick. And the doctor told them that it sounds like he has the flu. He was vomiting uncontrollably for days. And they couldn't get a handle on it. They went back to the doctor in Nebraska and still couldn't grasp it. Finally, 5 days later, they discovered that his appendix had ruptured and burst. And so for 5 days, he had this toxic poison running through his body. That in itself amazes me that he did not die, just going through that. So he was airlifted to the thriving metropolis of North Platte, Nebraska, to the hospital there, and they performed emergency surgery. And then he began this slow, painful, long recovery process. But it wasn't until about 4 months later that Colton started talking about an experience that he had during that time when he actually said, I was in heaven. And he started saying things that, don't really convince me at first, because, he was saying things that are not real imaginative, like, man, there's all these colors in heaven, colors like you've never seen. And guess what? Nobody gets old in heaven. Yes. And then there's all these people and all these animals. And I'm thinking, okay, any 4-year-old could come up with that kind of stuff, right? Until one night, he goes to his mom, and he says, Mom, I have 2 sisters. And she said, Colton, you have 1 sister. And she thought maybe he's talking about a cousin that lives nearby that's kind of like a sister. He said, no, Mom, I have 2 sisters. You had a baby die in your tummy, didn't you? Now, what Colton didn't know was that 2 years previous to that, Colton's parents went through the pain and the agony of going through a miscarriage, but they never told Colton that. Colton had no idea that ever happened. It happened 2 months in the pregnancy. They didn't even know if it was a boy or a girl. And then Colton said, it's okay. God adopted her. And I know that hits you like a ton of bricks for many of you, and it hits me like a ton of bricks. Because my wife and I went through 2 miscarriages. And I've always known, they're in heaven. But to hear that little boy say that God adopted them, and I don't even know if they're boys or girls, it just gives me this overwhelming peace and comfort to know that they're sitting in the arms of Jesus and they're just waiting for me to come and see them. And I hope that brings you peace and comfort if you've gone through something like that.